Hello, my name is Autumn Clemens and I'm the moderator.
I'm Brooke Turco and I'm the summarizer.
I'm India Geralt and I am the quote and vocabulary finder.
Okay.
Noah Holloway, and I'm a multi-perspective person.
Okay.
And we are the book buddies.
Yes. So, the Holocaust was a genocide in which Adolf Hitler and his collaborators killed about 6 million Jews. The victims include about 1.5 million children and represented about 2/3 of the 9 million Jews who had resided in Europe. Some definitions of the Holocaust include the additional 5 million non-Jews victims of Nazis' mass murder, bringing the total to about 11 million. These included gypsies, homosexuals, and more. Killings took place throughout Nazi Germany and Germany occupied territories. From 1941 to 1945, Jews were systematically murdered in one of the deadliest genocides in history, which was part of a broader of acts of oppressions and killings of various ethnic and political groups in Europe by the Nazi regime. Every arm of Germany's bureaucracy was involved in the logistics and carrying out of the genocide. Other victims of the Nazi crimes included ethnic Poles, Soviet citizens, and Soviet... Alright, that's it.
And now we will hear from the quote and vocabulary finder. So I kind of had around 7 quotes and maybe 7 vocabulary words, but I'm only going to read maybe 2 vocabulary words and maybe 2 quotes to speed up the process.
No, what do you do?
So the first quote that I had was chapter 5, page 66, and it was by Eliza Wesley. Yes, you can look it up on your phone, in your book, and your phone. Weasley. Y'all get what I'm saying. So the quote was, "What are you, my God?" I thought angrily. How do you compare to this mass gathered to affirm you, their faith, their anger, their defiance? What does your grandeur mean, master of the universe, in the face of all this cowardness, this decay, and this misery? Why do you go on troubling these poor people's rounded minds, their ailing bodies? Now, my analysis for this quote was, this quote reveals the changes of emotions Eliza is going through being in the camp. This quote demonstrates how Eliza begins to question all of God's morale and what he was taught about the God he was taught as a kid. Though Eliza is not an atheist, the God that he grew up on is dead to him. Eliza is now beginning to picture God in a different light. Eliza feels that now God is not a being that he can praise because his lack of concern with suffering. With everything Eliza is going through, you can slowly see his faith diminishing from the beginning of the story, which is greatly revealed in this quote. Now the next quote I have, chapter 5, page 59. Yom Kippur, the day of atonement. Should we fast? The question was hotly debated. To fast could mean a more certain, more rapid death. In this place, we were always fasting. It was Yom Kippur year-round, but there were those who said we should fast precisely because it was dangerous.
Keep going.
Keep on going, keep on going.
But there were those who said we should fast precisely because it was dangerous to do so. We need to tell God that even here, locked in hell, we were capable of singing his praises. Now, my analysis for the second quote was basically in the quote, it describes that fasting for the religion is an act of self-preservation. When you do not fast, it is a rebellion against God and that religion. Some of the Jews are debating on whether or not to fast. This quote lets you discover how the concentration camp was starting to slowly change the Jews and their ethics. It reveals how people act in a life or death situation and demonstrates how some Jews felt it was not important enough to fast due to God allowing the inhumanity going on in their life. this quote also reveals Elijah's rebellion against God. Elijah still believes in God, but does not accept him for him because God has not stopped the evil horrors he witnesses now on a daily basis and has before. My next quote. This quote was on chapter 6, page 91. And in spite of myself, a prayer formed inside me, a prayer to this God in whom I no longer believed. Oh God, Master of the universe, give me the strength to never do what Rabbi Elihu's son has done. Now this quote reveals how though Elijah has lost his faith, he has not lost it all. There is still some faith and hope left, even though it is very little. Elijah notices how the camp is changing other people and making people switch and become a traitor to closest family members, such as the father, mother, sister, brother, and prays that the camp will not turn him into those people as well. Elijah prays for strength not to abandon his father and to preserve his humanity and morale. He prays that he does not condone himself to the inhumane instinct, which is selfless as the most important thing. I'm just going to say one more quote, and this is chapter 7, page 101. The quote is,
Hey, yeah.
in the wagon where the bread had landed, a battle had ensued. Men were hurling themselves against each other, trampling, tearing out, and mauling each other. Beasts of prey unleashed animal hate in their eyes. An extraordinary fatality possessed them, sharpening their teeth and nails. My analysis for this quote is, this quote demonstrates how bad the concentration camps were and how our bodies can go from people who act like a human being, then go into survival mode and act as a savage when it comes to the circumstances we are in. This demonstrates how the inmates were clearly stripped of their humanity to such a high extent where a piece of bread is more significant than human morality, care for family, kindness due to the vile circumstances. Okay. I have some vocabulary words that I would like to say.
It's just busted.
Now this word came from chapter 5, page 66, and this is just some vocabulary that tripped me up along the way that I didn't really know. Thousands of lips repeated the benediction, bent over like trees in a storm. And benediction means the utterance of bestowing a blessing, especially at the end of a religious service. Another vocabulary word was used in chapter 5, page 73. A poor emaciated Jew questioned his anxiously, his voice trembling. Emaciated was the word that I got tripped up upon, and emaciated means abnormally thin or weak, especially because of illness or lack of food. And the last word that I'm going to read to you today is next to me like a Hungarian Jew suffering from dysentery, if I said that right. That's chapter 5, page 78, and dysentery means an infection of the intestines resulting in severe diarrhea with the presence of blood and mucus in the feces. And I'm done with that.
So now we can go to the summary. And my summary that I have is...
Don't come over here.
In the last chapter, Elijah is coming to realize that God's silence is unacceptable and that he is not merciful and should not be acclaimed or praised to. Therefore, on Jewish holidays like Yom Kippur, Elijah doesn't pray to God, mainly because he can't trust him for letting millions of his children or Jews die, and he doesn't fast either. Elijah becomes less dependent on God and religion and starts to focus predominantly on his father's and his own survival. There are selections for the Jews which determines who gets to die next, and Elijah is continuously saved while his father is struggling and sneaks out of death quite a few times because of his going age and also that he is getting weaker without food or much sleep. Elijah gets a leg injury at the hospital, but then evacuates out of Buna with his father. And during the grueling journey to the next camp, they march continuously for over 50 miles and don't stop, while hundreds of Jews are dying. While hundreds of Jews are dying, they reach the camp, and even more people die of falling asleep in the snow. Elijah and his father are becoming weaker, especially his father, and after the last journey to the camp on a train where there was seldom food distributed, Elijah's dad becomes sick. During this period, Elijah actually begins to wish his father's death so he could worry and care for himself. Later on, Eliezer father dies of sickness and countless beatings from others at Buchenwald. A few months later, Eliezer and other prisoners are liberated by U.S. troops, and Eliezer swears that he will never forget this horrible time ever in his life.
All right. Now, I'm the multi-perspective person. So, for chapters 5 through 9, I chose the Marxist theory to compare for this one. The Marxist theory is basically Karl Marx was pretty much the creator of communism, and he's a creator of communism. So it's basically all people are equal. For these chapters, I chose the Marxist theory. My explanation for this is that any Jew could be deported no matter their wealth.
We can't go for the learning from the presentation.
All Jews, wealthy or poor, are going to be killed in concentration camps. All are treated equal in the work camps. So like, basically, yeah, everyone's equal in these camps. So now we can get questions from our moderator.
Okay, so my questions. What did Eliezer mean when he said he was the accuser and God was the accused? And I don't know what page it's on.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
guys. But I think, well, we'll let Brooke answer
You
this.
said God was the accuser?
No, he was the accuser and God was the accused. Well, I think that he said this because he lost complete faith in God and self. And he said that he's the accuser. He's saying that God is at fault. God is the person that did this to them. And God is being the accused. God is being the... So they're basically their roles switched, and he deserves this role.
I agree with you. If you remember me reading my quotes earlier, I was mentioning how he was beginning to lose his faith, and he basically what you were saying, I said it in one of my quote analysis, and I just agree with you. Couldn't have said it better.
Next question.
Okay, next question. Did Eliezer value his life over his father's? And this is on page 84 through 89. Go ahead, India.
I honestly would like to say I think he did because, you know, usually a father's or mother instinct is like, I will save my kid from my for me, I would die for my kid, but he began to see that his father was more of a burden rather than just, you know, being there. Like, he had to watch after his father, worry about his father, and it probably put more stress on him, but she already had enough stress, barely eating all this stuff. And I just feel like he felt that if his father died, it would increase his chance of surviving. And I do feel like he felt that his father was a burden. And I think he was slightly relieved when he woke up that morning and saw that there was another sick person instead of his father, because he didn't cry, he didn't mention any feeling of remorse or anything. So I personally feel like he felt that his father was a burden.
I disagree with that. I think that since Eliezer took the role of a father figure when he was caring for his father, he valued other people's life, his father's life more. He valued other people's life. He valued his father's life more because many times in those chapters, he sought after to protect his father when people thought he was dead, when he didn't have any food. He came to the rescue of his father many times. So I think instead of thinking his father was a burden, I think he liked his father, and he wanted to keep his father alive. He wanted him and his father to get through it together.
Interesting point of view.
I agree with Noah because on page 84 it states that in the hospital he had a neighbor in the hospital, and he was basically telling him, you need to leave this place, there's going to be a selection for like the sick people. And so he didn't leave because he just wanted to stay at the hospital. But when he thought about his father's safety and that how's his father going to get around like just daily without him, he left the hospital. So I think he cared about his father more than himself.
Okay.
something to say. I kind of disagree with that because
You already said that.
I'm talking to Brooke. Thanks.
You're being
I
disrespectful.
somewhat disagree with what you said, Brooke, because even though he left the hospital for his father's safety, he also left the hospital because he wasn't sure what was going to happen if he stayed in the hospital. Like if they were just going to immediately kill the sick since they were not able to work. So I feel like he was also thinking of himself rather than just only his father. He was also thinking of his life.
Okay. Do you think it was logical for the Jewish man in the hospital with Eli to fully trust Hitler and respect him? Is his reasoning enough? Wait.
Is his
Is his reasoning enough? And why do you disagree? Agree.
Or agree?
May you repeat that question?
Do you think that it was wait a second. Do you think it was logical for the Jewish man in the hospital with Eli to fully trust Hitler and respect him? Is his reasoning enough? And why do you agree or disagree with it?
What page is that?
I have
Page 87.
you can speak on it. I am kind of neutral with what you were saying because I could see where he felt like he trusted Hitler more because Hitler said he was about to do all these things and he was getting it done, baby. He was getting them Jews out faster than something. But so I could see where he was coming from. So you know what? I'm gonna take that statement back I said about being neutral, and I agree with the man, trusting him because there were rumors around the camp saying liberation was soon to come and all this stuff, but days would pass, months would pass, and what would happen? Nothing. But Hitler said he wanted to kill some Jewish people, and that was getting done. So I can see what he was saying.
Yeah. Well, it says like here, like I got more faith in Hitler than in anyone else. He's the only one who kept his promises, like India said, all his promises to the Jewish people. But I still would have to disagree because I wouldn't trust or have faith towards Hitler even if he killed all of my family. So, yeah.
I agree with Brooke. Like, how can you trust someone that kills for basically their own enjoyment? I just don't.
Because it's like even if it's not a good reason to trust them, but if somebody say they're gonna do it and they do it, you kind of start putting your trust in
He
them.
gets the work done.
Yeah, so it's like even though it's bad, you shouldn't. But I'm just saying it's like if somebody say they're
I
gonna do
understand
something,
what you're
yeah.
saying. I understand. Noah, do you have anything to say?
I think that he believed in. I don't think that he trusted Hitler, like with his life or something like that. I think that I think what he means by that, by trusting Hitler, I think he means when Hitler says something, like when he's got a plan and he puts it and people know about that plan, he thinks that Hitler is going to fulfill that plan. But contrasting with Jewish people and all the other people, those people say things, but it's usually sets up false hopes and saddens him. So he stops believing those people, and that's why he says he trusts.
I agree with you, Noah. I really like the way you put that.
Okay. The next question. What do you think Eliza's reaction was to the fate of the hospital at Buna, and would you have stayed at the hospital or evacuated with the order of the soldiers? And this is on page 88.
I think I would have definitely evacuated because usually they kill the people, but I guess this time they didn't have enough time. So I mean, it's really just a guess.
Yeah.
I
So-
would have stayed because, like, I don't know. Because, first of all, for evacuation, you have to, like, why are they evacuating? Because, like, they're near, right? The Allied troops are near them. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would have already, like, given up, like, because I'm already starved to death. I'm already sick.
Yeah.
So, I would have stayed. And then I would have been happy because they were liberated 3 days later. So.
Oh yeah. But you could have never foreseen that while you were making that decision.
I think if I was in the exact shoes of Eliezer, I probably would have evacuated because when you first get there, you think, oh, this is heaven. An extra bowl of soup? Come on now. And then, but then you have people putting bugs in your ear and saying that, you know, they're probably gonna kill the sick people, and you thinking like, of course they're gonna kill us. We sick and we're not gonna be able to march. So I probably would evacuate it, and then an extra factor to me evacuating would have been my father too. You know.
Yeah.
So definitely probably would evacuate.
Okay. During the evacuation, when the head of the block stated that he.
This is the last question.
Oh, okay. Let me start it out.
Stated.
During the evacuation, when the head of the block stated that he wanted the Buna block cleaned for the liberating army because he didn't want the liberators to think of them as pigs. Do you think they were actually pigs? Do you think that was his true motive? This is on page 90.
Were they pigs or men? Right?
Yeah.
I think the officer was a little weird when he said that, because if you've already killed 6 million Jews, and so I think it's a little too late for them not to think that you're pigs. But I guess they wanted to hide evidence of the concentration camps. But I just feel like that statement was not. It didn't have any background to it or whatever.
I feel like that was like his true motive, just to hide the evidence, not for like I want it to be clean for them to see. No, to hide the evidence, and also they weren't like treated as human beings at all. They were treated as like animals and pigs. So when Eliezer questioned like were they pigs, like they were actually treated in pigs. They were imprisoned and like given food at certain times and like forced to work.
Piggybacking on what Noah said, but I completely agree with the statements that you both had. I just want to add something. I saw this document the other day that was explaining how most of what was going on in the concentration camps, a lot of people were ignorant on the outside, like people other countries were ignorant to how bad the concentration camps were. So I definitely think they tried to clean up to hide it, because they weren't public, like saying, yes, we got crematoria over here, just letting people know about it. So I agree with you guys and couldn't have said it better.
All right. Well,
This
that's going to be the end of it.
Of the book buddies, guys.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching.